While that was happening, we shift to the lower floor of the castle, where the smoke ninjas together with Aninra and the chameleon were slowly making their move to ambush Vamola and Momo. However, something unusual happened when suddenly one of the ninjas was dragged away, which caught the attention of another. The unidentified creature then targeted the one who noticed it, and when the two other ninjas on the opposite side turned, whoever was responsible swiftly dealt with them as well. By the side of a wooden pillar, it was revealed to us that the chameleon was camouflaged there. He was extremely nervous and deeply puzzled, wondering what exactly was happening. Ironically, he pointed out that it was totally unfair that they had an enemy there who could not be seen. He commented that they were even better hidden than him, the great reptilian, the space ninja. But, he added, even he himself was camouflaging along the side of a pillar, so he strongly believed that the creature couldn't see him either, while referring to it as core. Suddenly, his enemy shouted that they could see him and kept pointing at him repeatedly, which completely shocked him. Not long after, it turned out that it was actually Vamola and Momo behind all of it while also invisible, and Vamola managed to land a powerful punch on this space ninja, her fist striking solidly against his face and sending him flying. Momo cheered at this and exclaimed "nice one," and she also said that even if that chameleon tried to hide, his aura was plain as day, to which Vamola thanked her while calling her Little Miss Pixie. Momo then asked if that meant Vamola could see her too, and Vamola happily agreed, explaining that her suit displayed a projection of her. Because of that, Momo joyfully deduced that she could be perceived through the kaiju suit, while Vamola continued to call her Miss Pixie and asked why she would help a fellow like her, which made Momo shout at her not to say that since it was too sad. Before long, they had already made it out of the castle, which made Momo happy as she urged Vamola to hurry. She said they needed to return to the shrine as soon as possible, otherwise they wouldn't be able to perform the ritual to lift the curse. They then spotted the taxi they had taken earlier from afar, prompting Momo to shout to get their attention. Gigi immediately heard them and turned toward them, saying it was perfect timing, while Momo was startled to see Evil Eye reverted back into Gigi, and she asked why he was completely naked. Her chatter suddenly stopped when she saw her grandmother, gravely wounded and unconscious, being carried by Gigi. Because of this, both she and Vamola screamed out in alarm as they rushed quickly toward them. Gigi asked the driver to open the door and told Momo to help him get Seiko inside. Once the door was opened, they slowly placed her into the back seat, and the deep concern was clear on Vamola's face as tears formed while she looked at her. Momo immediately went to Seiko once she was inside the car and shouted her name in great worry. Gigi explained to them that her broken ribs had been severely damaged and that he was only using his chi to ease her pain, but he didn't know what was happening internally. Momo repeatedly called out to her granny as tears streamed down her face in sorrow, and Seiko managed to respond faintly by calling her name, though she was weak. She urged them to hurry to the shrine because there was no more time. Momo told her not to try and speak since she was already too weak. Unfortunately, they suddenly felt a powerful tremor in the surroundings, which made them stop in their tracks. Momo wondered what was happening, while Gigi thought it was an earthquake. The violent shaking continued, and then a voice came from the castle, shouting furiously at them that they would not get away with this, and how dare they defile and tear apart his pride as a space ninja. He pointed out that what he meant was they were being even more of a ninja than him, while calling them knuckleheads. On their side, Vamola quickly pointed out where the voice was coming from, urging them to look there. They saw something behind the trees and bushes, which caused their eyes to widen and their mouths to gape in shock. It was then shown to us that the Japanese castle now had 6 chameleon legs beneath it, allowing it to move, and a chameleon head on the upper floor, while the ninjas were tied to what seemed to be kites and floating around the space ninja. Vamola shouted out how big it was, while Gigi worriedly asked what that thing was. The chameleon face shouted that this was his true mighty form while calling them stupid idiots, and that he had been camouflaged as the castle. Because of that, Gigi realized what had happened to the ninjas inside the castle, but the space ninja cut him off and said that they were being cultivated inside his bowels, likening them to bifidobacteria. The reptilian then began to move while shouting that he would not stand for ninja wannabes like them. and added that nothing boiled his blood more than a clumsy fool pretending to be a ninja. Gigi immediately prepared to unleash an evil gun while shouting back that the reptilian was talking about himself. And he also told Vimola, who was already preparing her kaiju suit, that they had to return to the shrine now. Momo then called out to him, instantly catching his attention. She ordered Gigi to go to the hospital with Seiko and firmly said that she didn't care about the curse anymore and that it was more important to help Granny. Gigi was shocked and worried to hear this, prompting him to ask if she was sure, pointing out that everyone might end up forgetting her. But Momo answered that none of that mattered and ordered him to ease Seiko's pain. Momo then looked intently at Seiko and said sorry, saying it was all her fault. Tears began to flow from her eyes as she added that if Seiko still remembered her, they would talk again. After that, Momo steeled herself and jumped away from Seiko, and while tightly clinging to Vimola, who was already running toward the reptilian space ninja, she asked Gigi to take care of Seiko, to which Gigi immediately replied that he would. Memories of her granny and how she laughed lingered in Momo's mind, which weighed heavily on her emotions as she prepared for the sacrifice she was about to make. Before long, the taxi started driving toward the shrine, while she and Vimola were left behind to face the chameleon, who had now turned into a Japanese castle. While Vimola was running, Momo called out to her and instructed her to let her inside her suit, which Vimola immediately did. As soon as Momo entered, she appeared as nothing more than a small white human figure for Vimola. She asked if Vimola was aware of her presence, to which she agreed and explained that the suit was detecting her. After that, Momo instructed her to generate an empty space, which Vimola promptly did after transforming into a giant kaiju. The reptilian space ninja was startled when suddenly her body expanded enormously. Following that, Momo instructed Vimola to perform their invisible ninja attack. So as Vimola shouted the word ninja, she made her kaiju suit invisible and charged swiftly toward their enemy. Once she had gained momentum, Vimola readied her fist and used the blast wind thrust attack. However, the reptilian managed to dodge them by performing a backflip despite his size. This caused Momo to shout out in frustration that they missed, and she began to wonder if that bastard could really see them. The reptilian space ninja then told them that trick would not work on him, pointing out that the power they were using was retro-reflective projection technology. He then further informed them that the kite ninjas he had flying around provided definite verification of her form. As a counter against them, the reptilian used his move, Ninja Art, Sakura Riot, where his ninjas began throwing countless spherical objects. Before long, those exploded, revealing themselves as fireworks, and surrounded Vimola's kaiju suit. Momo was shocked that they were suddenly enclosed by them, but she also commented that they looked beautiful, while Vimola pointed out to her that those were explosives. She explained that her suit's endurance gauge was already dropping, which puzzled Momo and prompted her to ask what that meant. Vimola answered that once the endurance gauge reached zero, her suit would suddenly become floppy, and they wouldn't be able to use any of its powers. Because of that, Momo also began to worry, saying that was bad news, while Vimola added that it would take a full day for the endurance gauge to recover. After that, Momo instructed Vimola to close in on their enemy, explaining that if they fought at close range, he would also take in the blasts, making it harder for him to set off the fireworks. She added that she knew about that because she had once fought Vimola herself. She pointed out that the power of her kaiju suit was unreal and further instructed her to use her own strength against their enemy. On the side of the reptilian space ninja, he arrogantly called them fools and declared that he was a true ninja, saying that a phony like them could never compare. Vimola tried several times to strike the reptilian with her kaiju tail, a straight punch, an uppercut, and a frontal kick, but all of those were dodged with ease. Because of that, he mockingly asked them what's the matter, pointing out that they weren't even landing hits on him, unlike his attacks, which were striking them like crazy with his Sakura Riot. The indicator of Vimola's suit's endurance gauge began beeping violently due to the countless hits it was taking. Before long, her kaiju suit completely ran out of endurance gauge, causing it to gradually shrink back to its normal size and collapse on the ground. Because of this, the reptilian shouted ninja and said that was too bad for them while calling them half-wits. He added that it had now been determined who among them was the real ninja. After that, the reptilian space ninja raised one of his feet, and while saying that there was no way a twerp like them could ever overcome his might, he began stomping heavily on Vamola. This caused the ground beneath Vamola to shatter. The reptilian muttered oops afterward, saying he might end up killing them before he could steal their powers, but he brushed it off, adding that it would be faster to simply hand over their corpses to the Serpoians for dissection. Suddenly, Momo spoke out of nowhere, asking what exactly the reptilian thought he was attacking, which startled him. Because of that, the reptilian was flustered and started yelling, asking where the voice was coming from, while Momo mockingly said that he wasn't even speaking like a ninja. Annoyed, the reptilian called her a fake ninja twerp, then changed his manner of speaking and demanded that she come out so he could kill her. But Momo told him it was too late to change the way he talked, while calling him an asshole. She ordered him to listen to her and asked if he had ever heard of the tale of Isenbashi. She explained that it was a story about a big dumbass like him, but a little twerp entered his body and defeated him. As she was explaining this, it was revealed to us that Vamola was already inside the reptilian's castle body, carrying countless firework bombs. After that, Momo also informed the reptilian that incidentally, they had taken a large number of fireworks from his bifidobacteria and scattered them throughout his body. Because of that, the reptilian grew alarmed and cried out in worry. The space ninja began jumping around violently, shouting that it wasn't funny and demanding they come out of his body, while calling them half-wits. Momo, on the other hand, mockingly wondered what organ they were looking at inside him, while Vamola immediately punched it, causing the reptilian to scream in pain, shouting that he would shake them out of his body. Momo countered that there was no chance of that happening, saying that even when they were caught up in a typhoon, they had managed to hold on to the airplane. She then said that after what he did to her grandma, he was not getting away, not you people, and she said this while remembering the state Seiko was in when she saw her earlier. Momo then began preparing her special move, while the reptilian, filled with panic, kept shouting ninja before his entire body exploded as Momo finally unleashed her Momo Tribe beam, detonating all the fireworks inside their enemy.